Next up is Ruby Edwards from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. The goal of this challenge is to replace a non-functioning Access database and Excel spreadsheet process of collecting information from other state departments with a form that feeds information direction into a database that can generate a few initial basic reports. So here you guys go. Here's Ruby.
First, I wanted to thank the HACC team and sponsors for giving us an opportunity to participate in this. This is our first time, and I'm really happy that we could join you. As I said, my name is Ruby Edwards. I'm a senior planner with the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, and I'm here to kind of walk you through what HACC has to do with OPSD or TOD. And why isn't it advancing? Sorry. So the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development is Hawaii's state planning agency. And what we do is we work with state, county, federal, private sector, and community organizations to grow our economy, create communities, and enhance residents' lives in a way that is sustainable and preserves our natural environment and this special place we all call home. A very big task for a very small organization. One of the ways that OPSD does this is through its TOD program, where I do most of my work at this point in time. What is TOD? TOD is transit-oriented development. You might have heard more and more of it in recent years. It's really the creation of dense walkable communities with a mix of housing, jobs, government services, schools, shopping, entertainment, parks, within a 10-minute walk of a rail station or bus transit center. And what might that look like statewide? On Oahu, certainly, we're talking about TOD around stations along the rail corridors. As you might see on the left, some concepts for the Aloha Stadium at the Halava rail station site. And on the right is a rendering of what a town center centered around a bus transit station on the neighbor islands might look like. The office works with the Hawaii Interagency Council for Transit-Oriented Development, which consists of members from state agencies, the county, legislators, and partner representatives from the private development sector, the business sector, and the affordable housing sector. This council issued a state strategic plan for TOD in 2017-2018. It provides a really broad framework for state and county TOD project action and implementation with a vision to really use public facilities, primarily state facilities and state lands, as anchors for investment in affordable housing and livable, complete communities integrated with public transit. The strategic plan includes 70 plus projects that we're currently tracking now. As you can see here in the first version of the plan, we had our initial list of projects with some schematic about when they might be, when the plans, design, and construction of the projects might occur. And of course, these change from year to year based on funding and agency capacity. So why is what we need to do in terms of solving our particular problem, why is this important? It's because in order to achieve statewide TOD, no matter where it occurs, this requires constant effort, constant vigilance, and constant support, which means that we need to have data to be able to, that's accurate and current in order to inform decision makers about how TOD projects need to be supported or how they're being implemented. So here's our problem. We have a lot of data that we collect, and it comes in, we like it coming in like in these little pieces, because we think that putting them together in these little pieces, we could possibly rearrange them in a multitude of ways and formats in order to communicate well to the particular audience and with the information that they're looking for. So our primary tools right now are these collection tools right now are these kind of static, flat project fact sheets in an MS Word document. So we collect individual pieces of location, street address, a description of the project, any constraints, funding, who might be the consultant or developer for a particular project, contacts for the project, et cetera. And then separately narratives and images for the particular project. And these are to be updated over time. So currently what we do, we have these we have a flat storage system. We have most of our information is stored in two places, one in the project fact sheets. Two, we have a master inventory table in Excel. And then we have another supporting Excel table which tracks projects that are funded by grants, that TOD CIP planning grants that we award to projects that are in the strategic plan for them to move forward towards design and construction. And then we have some initial geospatial database data in ArcGIS. We do have, and you've heard mentioned, reference to a project database in MS Access. It's not that it's not functional, it's just that we have not been able to put all the information that we're gathering here into this vessel. And so that's a bigger problem. But for the problem today, and then so from the data storage, we produce all these different reports. So you've got, an annual report that has a table of current projects and more detailed report in the appendix of how these projects are doing. We have housing information, and this gets formatted, same projects, this gets formatted with housing information in a separate table, and we produce, monitoring of CIP funding requests to alert the legislators that these are specific funding items in the budget bills that they should be aware of that will contribute and facilitate TOD statewide. So we have these different products, reports that we're trying to jam all our Lego blocks into. For some reason, it's not advancing. So our challenge really is, our first challenge really is, So our challenge is we have these provided forms, mostly MS Word, but agency staff provides the data in a format that's convenient to them. That could be a verbal report, it could be in Word, returning a Word document, it could be email, it could be a PDF. The data might come from one or more agencies, one or more staffers in that agency, and the project and funding data may change throughout the year. So that project data comes in. TOD staff has to first verify the data that's received against all these other different, the existing data that we have, figuring out which piece to update. We then manually input and copy data across these Excel and Word files or emails or PDFs. And then we have to tweak the formatting every single time to produce the different reports that you saw on the previous slide. Well, each step of the way provides us an opportunity for error. And so that means we know that. So we spend a ton of time data checking and verifying to make sure that whatever our final products are, that the data is as accurate and as accurate and current as possible. So sometimes it feels like a game of Twister without the fun. So our first challenge really is not so much, is not only how we manipulate the data and utilize it to be able to produce different reports, but really first is the data itself. Is it accurate? Is it current? And how do we assure ourselves that we are getting the data that we need and that it's going to be consistent over time? So here's our opportunity, and what we pose to the HACC teams is really the development of a web-based collection or reporting form for the agencies to input project data that can be downloaded into whatever storage device we decide to go with. Whether for now it will be probably more than likely our Excel tables until we are able to migrate something into another platform or into the TOD database that's waiting for use. So this collection form, it has to be user-friendly and easy to use because we know our agency users will default to that. We would prefer that it be like a one-click retrieval and download into whatever storage platform we use. We want to be able to standardize data entry so we don't have to change the date formats across the different user inputs. We want to be able to also add fields over time if we need to. So here's our limitations. We have no budget to do any of this work. And what we have done in developing the database and starting work on that was, once it was set up, we basically are relying on staff with MS Access experience to try and lift it. But until that happens, we must use applications and tools that are available through current state enterprise licenses. So these include Office 365, ArcGIS, Adobe Acrobat, and Creative Cloud, and WordPress, which is our the web application that we use, as well as other state agencies. So it has to be low cost or no cost solutions. It needs to be robust over changes in the platform and applications. And it needs to be used by staff with minimal training or IT or coding experience. So you can save OPSD-TOD from Twister madness, and I really hope that you will help us in solving our particular problem to really advance TOD statewide. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Ruby. That sounds like a fun challenge. And for those that love data organization and data crunching, that might be a fun challenge for you guys.